Expensive business lessons from the Jews. Have you ever wondered? In Seoul, someone opened a soy milk shop. You can buy a house in 3 years. And you who work hard to plow content, run deadline, study every week, you have to divide your lunch into 3 days. Is it because you are unlucky? Or maybe you've never sat down and think back to the way I'm thinking. I was having coffee with an old friend. He was bad at math. He was always late for school. I used to borrow a copy of the entire second term. Now you are the owner of an online store. A few $100 million a month. Go for a run every morning and go to golf lessons on weekends. I look at him and I look at myself. I also went to college and worked early. They also know how to save, but my account is 10 million. I saw the bank call for debt. I asked you why you make money. You just left. I'm no better than you. I've only learned to think differently from the Jews. I'm going to tell you today about 14 expensive ideas. It comes from the wisdom of thousands. 1,000 years of the Jews. A nation that is not numerous, but it's almost always at the center of money, innovation, and global influence. Not because they have the money gene, but because they have the money mindset. That mindset is no secret. It's a very different way of looking at money. About startups on how to live Socho has long-term value. If you're also looking for a conscious direction in the midst of temptation, get rich fast out there, please like this video and leave a small comment and subscribe to the Mind-Cracking channel. Maybe there's just one idea in this video. It's enough to open up a whole new journey for you. And now let's start with where everything is. It really started. Thinking a starting mind. Every success starts with a belief. You know, one of the specialties of the Jews. It's not French. It's not South African diamonds. It's trust. It's not a kind of superficial belief. It's gonna be okay. It's a belief that has roots. Make people act like they're successful. It's inevitable. Not a miracle. The first fish story and the first lesson of the story is that there's a heathen guy on board with a Jew. You look smart, he asked. Why are you Jews so good? The Jews just smiled because we ate fish heads. The guy wants to try it right away and spend 20 to help buy a fish head from the Jews. After eating, the whole fish only has 15 helpers. You're angry. You lied to me. The Jews are calm, see. The fish is starting to work. You can laugh when you hear it. But behind that smile is a pat on the shoulder, softly into our thoughts. Jews don't sell fish, they sell minds. Success doesn't start with money, it starts with what you believe. Do you believe you deserve to succeed? Do you believe you can be good at business, even if you've been bad at math, every marketing debt, or 7 times with a vermicelli shop? If you don't believe, you'll never start. And if you start without believing, you will give up as soon as you are in trouble. The Jews taught me from a young age that even if you only have $1, I can still make $1 million if you believe you can do it and act to the end. That belief is not blind. It comes with knowledge and training. But without the root of faith, then knowledge is just rubble. You can't build anything. I used to be an unbeliever, and you can be like me. There were times when I thought I wasn't in business. I'm afraid to communicate. I don't know the price and I'm short of money. Then one day, I heard a saying from a Jewish teacher. On YouTube, you're not poor for lack of money. You are poor because you think you will always be. The sentence is like a gentle but wakeful slap. I realize every time I talk, I can't do it. I shut the door before I even tried to knock. That's when I started to change the way I said it. I can't do it yet, but I can learn. I don't have the money, but I can start small. I'm not good, but I'm on my way to getting better. And you know what? Ever since I changed my way of thinking, the way of life also began to change. You don't need great faith. Just believe big enough to take a step. You don't have to believe you're going to be a billionaire, at least not right away, but you need to believe that you can learn. You can improve. You can build something that's meaningful. Start at your current location with what you have. Because, as the Jews say, success is the result of a small belief, are raised by regular action every day. Ask yourself, what beliefs are you carrying in your head? If you say I'm not good at numbers, I don't know anyone, I'm not in business, try reversing. I can learn a little bit every day. I can start with a first client. I can figure out the business style suitable for yourself. Because if you believe it right, you'll do it differently. And when you do something different, the results won't be the same. And once you start believing in your own abilities, even a little bit, you'll start to see opportunities that you didn't realize before. Because when you think differently, you'll start to see the world from a different angle. And that's also the next Jewish mindset that I'd like to share with you. Thinking to, don't be like the majority if you want to get ahead. Did you notice? Most people take the predictable path. After school, find a stable job. When opening the shop, we named in Gawkland to investment. Wait for someone else to come in and buy it. And when everyone's rushing in one direction, the strange thing is that opportunities are often in the opposite direction. The Jews are masters of reverse thinking. In Jewish culture, children are encouraged to ask bad questions early on. If AI also asks to do so to sell a lot of goods, the Jews will ask, is there a way not to sell? Do customers still want to buy? If the whole market is racing down, they will wonder, is there a price increase and customers are still queuing? They don't like Chen in the crowd. They took a step back. Watch and steer in a direction that few people look at. It's a small story, a big turn. It's about a Jewish businessman. Enter the New York bank. He wears vest high and wear diamond watch. Open your wallet full of shares. But then he did what the banker did. I want to borrow $1. The whole room left. But he calmly put up the mortgage. $500,000 in assets. After completing the procedure, the bank director, out of curiosity, why did you borrow just $1? He replied softly, I need a safe deposit for a year. Hiring other banks is expensive. It's only $1 of interest here. No one can say a word anymore. And that's when the whole system learns a lesson. From someone who thinks backwards. Reverse thinking is not against the crowd. It's seeing what they don't see. You don't have to go backwards just to be different. Reverse thinking is simply, not default everything is right. I'm not in a hurry to believe that AI does that. It means it should be. For example, when everyone else opens a coffee shop full of facades, some people sell coffee on motorbikes, and then open up a whole chain of franchises. When the whole market is pouring money into advertising, have a startup that grows through a Facebook group, free, and become a niche empire. Reverse thinking practice that starts with a question. The next time you're going to do something, inertia, stop and ask yourself. If you do the opposite, why? If you do not run ads as sales so that visitors still find. If the price is not reduced, the product will still sell well. If not, according to the majority, there is a direction only I can see. You don't need the perfect answer right away. Just start asking questions again. Your brain will become a radar. Discover opportunities that others have. Small lesson, but it can change the entrepreneurial mindset. In an era where AI can also live stream sales, create online shop, invest in cryptocurrency, then you're different. It's not to be superior, it's to be less competitive, less consumption, and break through with its own unique point of view. Jews don't believe in quick wins. They believe in a small but effective way. It's not because they're luckier, it's because they get in the habit of thinking differently about very small things. And when you start to see differently, think differently. Make a difference, the world begins to open new doors. But at that moment another challenge appeared. Make sure you play by the rules. You can stay ahead of the competition. 10 steps. Jews don't just think backwards. They know how to legally change the rules of the game. Ingenious and efficient. That's going to be the next thing we explore. Thinking BA. Break the law with integrity. Understand the law to gain an advantage. Vietnamese people often say that the law is to avoid. The Jews don't wiggle. They close their eyes. They've studied every corner of the law. Follow the road. Few people look old. They don't break the rules. They know the rules better than anyone. And so they own the game. The story goes into a commercial textbook. Rooney and 10,000 gloves. A Jewish businessman named Rooney wanted to import 10,000 pairs of premium from France to America. When he checked, he found an import tax with very high full double gloves. If you enter the claim, there is not much interest. Others will complain. Normal people will take the fight, but Rooney will not. He split the entire shipment in half. The first one is all left. Packing as defective inventory. It was sent to the US and not picked up on time. Results: US Customs forced to auction off shipments. Almost no one cares. Rooney to buy extremely cheap, almost tax-free. A month later he entered the right. Beautiful packing this time. Clarification of customs origin for speedy customs clearance. Results: Rooney has 10,000 pairs of gloves. With the lowest possible tax rate. There are even more words from the very auction he created. This is not a trick. This is the strategy of someone who understands the law. You don't make fake papers. No bribes, no hot pot traders. You read the rules like a map and find a way that no one notices. And you know what? This doesn't just happen in international business. It also happens every day in how we manage our taxes, financial statements, product valuation, investment planning. Jews don't learn to avoid risk. They learn how to control risk with knowledge. In their business culture, it's a very good philosophy. The weak fear the law, the average man obeys the law. But successful people turn the law to their advantage, not by breaking the fence. It's by understanding the law better than anyone else. Are you tying yourself up with ignorance? Maybe you're paying more tax than necessary. Marketing costs are taxed to buy zero. Take advantage of tax incentives for small businesses or pass up the opportunity to bill inputs. The right time to deduct. Because you think too much. While the Jews thought, this is where we can go faster without breaking the rules. Lessons for entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. You don't have to be a lawyer. But you should know the basic provisions of the contract insurance tax. How to plan financially sound or rational, legal but still optimal, and most importantly, thinking no. It's about avoiding the law, but exploiting the law intelligently. A simple suggestion to get started today. Choose a problem you are facing at work. Import and export operation fee tax. Then don't ask why, but ask something. What part of the law allows me to do this? France, that few people know. It's just that you ask the question again. You're closer to the entrepreneurial mindset. Smart. Because sometimes big wins don't come from doing more. It's about understanding more deeply and getting it right. But to get it right, you also have to change it in the right place. Doesn't have to change the logo or slogan every quarter. It's replacing the core that's causing the blockage. That's the next thought that we're about to discover together. The four roots mindset is something that has to be fixed first, not the logo color. Have you ever seen a coffee shop in the middle of nowhere? The guests suddenly change sign, change paint color, change slogan to English Cho sang, and ran the fourth grand opening commercial of the year. After a few weeks, the owner sighed. Maybe I haven't caught the trend. Yes, change is necessary. But the Jews have a different view. When the tree is withering, don't blame it. Easy to check again. Chicken stories and lessons on correct points. Power of farmer running through a neighbor's house. My chickens are half dead. The neighbor said, Probably because the food changed to wheat brand sisal. Power follow. The next day I lost 15 more. The neighbor said the water might be too cold. Give the chicken some hot water. Power continues, but the chicken is still dying. In the end, only a few survived. Power says there are only a few left. I'm sure I will. The neighbor replied casually. Unfortunately, there are many ways I can't tell you. The story sounds funny, but it's very real. Because in business as well as animal husbandry, many people change constantly. I don't really know if I'm fixing it in the right place. Correction is not wise, maybe even the good part. Jews are not in a hurry to beat back and forth. They're asking the question of what's really broken and what's still working. If the sales team is weak, do not rush to change the product. If the product is okay but the customer doesn't come back, maybe the problem lies in the after-sales service. If customers trust but revenue still drops, it's very likely that operating costs are eroding profits. In any system, personal finance, business, or relationship, what needs fixing is usually not in the most visible place. Successful people fix the right gear, don't break the machine. Jews think of business as a mechanical watch. If Kim doesn't spin, they don't throw away the watch. They unscrew the gear and see where the oil dries. Fix the whole system as new. If you feel wrong, change everything. Then after a while, you don't realize what you're doing anymore. Lessons for young people to start or are confused about their career. Don't rush to change industries when you don't know because your SAO hasn't developed yet. Don't leave your job in a hurry, not knowing what else I need to learn. Do not rush to change the website when the product has not solved the customer's real problem. Let's stop for a moment and ask 3 things. What's the core of what we're doing? 2 things that are working well and why. Where are the real problems and why do they arise? It's only when you understand the root that you're not afraid to change tops. Small hint to start fixing in the right place. If you are in business, choose the most important indicator. For example, the number of returning guests. Then plot the reason why SAO is bad. Don't speculate, look for evidence. Maybe you'll find out. People don't come back because they can't remember the name, not because of the high price, or guests criticize employee behavior, and not the drink. When you fix the root correctly, the whole tree will be green again. But know the root wrong and correct the point. That's only half the problem. The rest, you have to be consistent with what you choose. Because on this journey, you'll see all sorts of fascinating things. A promise to make money fast. It's a magical strategy. You see that it works, or a path that sounds easier. And if you keep turning sideways every time you see a rabbit running by, you may lose the squirrel you're chasing. That's the next thing the Jews think. Always remind your children. Remember, think about 5 choices every day. The seeds decide fate. There's a Jewish saying that I remember forever. You don't have to decide your fate, me in a day. You just have to make better choices every day. It sounds easy, but it's a serious truth. For most of fate, it's not determined by a big event, but by hundreds of small choices every day. 3 people in prison and 3 different fates. The Jews tell a funny but profound story. 3 men detained for 3 years before entering the camp. Each person is selected to bring a single item. Americans choose a cigarette box. The French choose a beautiful girl. The Jews chose a phone. Can be connected outside. 3 years later the Americans came out first screaming, "Give me 3 years without a lighter." He can't smoke a cigarette. Frenchman walks out with a girl holding a child. In the stomach is the second. His choice is also happy but a bit dirty. And the Jews. I stepped out and arrested the warden, and get in the waiting luxury car. Because for the last 3 years I used that phone to keep the relationship going, invest in and run remote work. Sometimes it's just thinking a little bit further. The choice is not always clear. Sometimes it's hidden in the little things. Sleep for 15 minutes or get up to read for 15 minutes. Choose to spend the weekend or to invest in a course. Choose to believe in fear or believe in a new ability of self. Every single day. It sounds small but accumulates in a year. Be at 55. You'll be in a completely different place. Cumulative effect, a difference of 1% per day. Choose believe in the power of the compound effect. Cumulative effect. If you're 1% better every day after a year, you're not only 65% better than BA, you're almost 3,800% better. But if you only lose 1% per day, after a year you'll hit bottom. It's like a savings account. The longer it takes, the more profitable it is. Thinking 2. Action 2. Today's choice is the interest rate for your future. Action lessons how to choose better every day. No need for spectacular changes. It takes 3 small things every day. Wake up 15 minutes earlier to be more active. To write down something you learned to remember longer. Reject a bad habit for a positive one. Because in the end they succeed. Not someone who makes a big decision. They're the ones who make small but right choices. Over and over again. The Jews don't choose comfort, they choose efficiency. A glass of wine today can make you relax. But a page of today's book, it can change your future. A good meal can make you happy for a few hours. But the right investment, it can set you free for a lifetime. The Jews teach their children. Don't choose what makes you comfortable. Choose something that helps you go further. So if you want to change your life, don't just look at the big goal. Let's start by making the right choice today. It's one of the most important choices. It's not how much money I have. It's how I'm looking at money. The Jews did not deify money. But they believe that the way you spend money is the way you live. And that's the next thought that we need to explore together. Thinking 6. Money is a mirror, not just a number. What is money? For many it is a means. For others, it's the goal. But to the Jews, money is a mirror. Mirror to the front, to the heart. The story of 3 men and the money disappeared. The story goes that 3 Jews went away on the occasion. 8 days of sacred holidays without money. They collected the money for a keeper. The next day the money disappeared. No one took it. No evidence. No way I can prove anything. So Bia decided to go see a rabbi, wise teacher, to judge. But the teacher didn't ask about the money. He told a story. There's a girl betrothed to a boy. But then she fell in love with someone else and canceled the marriage. You make up for it with sincerity. The boy gently wished her happiness. Some time later the girl was taken hostage. When the kidnapper heard the story, he was moved and let her go. The rabbi stopped and asked the other 3. According to you, in that story, who's the most honorable? The first said the boy was generous. The second said the girl was brave. The third man laughed at the kidnapper for being stupid. They should have kept the money. The rabbi looked straight at the third person and pointed. You're the one who took the money. Because you only see money. Others see people. Money is not bad, but the way you treat it tells you who you are. The Jews did not deify money. Not afraid of it either. They teach their kids that money is immoral. But the person holding the money has or doesn't. If you are rich, you are not noble. If you're poor, you're not necessarily kind. But how you make your money and never lie. Jews look at money with 3 core questions. 1. How am I making money? There is transparency that creates legitimate value. Where am I spending my money? Having useful intelligence that reflects the right priorities. If one day I have a lot of money, who will I be? The answer is not in the future. It's in every decision you make today. Money is a tool, not a measure of honor. People often ask how much you earn. But the Jews asked, how much credibility do you get when you make that money? You can hit a big trick, but you can also lose trust. Nothing can buy back. They believe that trust is not in the account. It's in how people refer to you when you are absent. Practical lessons on how to use money to demonstrate the value of living. Some people start showing off their cars when they get rich. Show off the brand, show off the million-dong tray. There are also people when more open. Scholarship pay on time. Invest in experiences for your children, or simply, be kinder to yourself and the people around. Money does not change people. It exaggerates who you really are. Jews don't judge you when it's poor, when they have too much. Because when you have a little money, you sift through every penny. When you have a lot, you start to express yourself in every way. You use money to show off or to pinch, to prove value or to create value. The answer: it's on your monthly consumption bill. And once you understand that money is a tool, the mirror is a test, you won't be afraid to start small. Because the Jews believe that $1 if it comes from honest labor, more than $1 million dirty, and it's through hard work and respect for every little thing. They've built a solid business culture. We'll continue with the next thought. $1 is worth nothing but the smallest. That's the next thought. The Jews always remind their children. There's a very short sentence, very Jewish, but enough to wake you up. A generation that likes to get rich quick. I despises small copper. Sooner or later, you lose a lot of money. That sounds a little old, but if you've ever started from zero, you will understand. $1 is not just money. It's a lesson that's a measure of attitude. It's the beginning of a long journey. The story of the boy who mowed the lawn and the money. A Jewish boy named Ben. On the way home from school, I saw a sign in the front yard. I need a lawnmower for $1. Without hesitation, you knock on the door. A white-haired old woman came out. Ben politely said, I saw the lawnmower job board. I can do it. Old woman is reserved, but I only paid $1. Are you sure? Ben replied with a smile. Don't worry. For $1 or whatever, I'll cut it beautifully. He came home that night and told his parents. The father just nodded and said, I'm a real Jew. Because I know the value is not in the money. It's about attitude to that job. Jews don't judge what you do. It's how you do it. $1 doesn't make you rich, but the way you make $1 says a lot. Are you patient? Do you respect labor? Do you see small things as an opportunity to grow? The Jews taught me. Don't turn down an opportunity just because it's small. Every great oak tree starts with a tiny seed. In business, nothing is trivial if you do it well enough. You can just be a maid in a coffee shop. But if you clean your glass better than anyone else, remember the customer name, greet with a genuine smile. You're planting seeds for your own future. No one succeeded because they were lucky enough to do a lot of work. People succeed by doing small things well, repeated every day. Let's start with what you have. You can start blogging from a short post. You can learn how to invest $50,000. You can build a personal brand from a video. The first bad, but only if you take the smallest step seriously. You're qualified to take on greater opportunities. Jews are not ashamed to do small things because they know its value. Did you know? A lot of successful Jewish traders are still on their own. Inventory inspection, self-register. And don't be afraid to ask the accountant that because of Saudi this month is higher than last month. It's not because they're stingy, but because they understand. If you can't manage the small field, sooner or later you will be 7 players with big money. $1 is sometimes a silent test of dignity. Are you willing to do it for $1? Do you keep your promises even if it's a small order? Be careful with small expenses in your project. If you're building a solid foundation, more than 90% of people outside, because the Jews understood that success doesn't come from doing something big. It comes from being kind and professional, even when no one sees it. And also thanks to that thinking, they're open to all AIs with the same values, regardless of origin, color, or religion. Because in business they don't question who you are. I asked if we could win together. Let's move on to the next thought. Unbiased collaborative thinking. It doesn't matter who makes the difference. There's a very common type of person in the marketplace. I just want to work with people like me. Combinatorics, energy combinatorics. Or you can refuse with words. Probably not to grace. The Jews are different. They don't choose partners based on ethnicity, religion, or even style of speech. They're just asking if this person can create value with us. Really not. They believe in intentional collaboration. It's not the same for comfort. An Indian. It could open the door to the Asian market. A Latin American can help the product better suited to the local culture. A person of color in South Africa. It can be a bridge to an entire ecosystem that you can never touch. Jews are not afraid of difference because they understand that difference is a resource. It's not a barrier. The story of a trader. Jews in the Middle East market. There's a Jewish merchant who deals in spices. Every year he goes to the Middle East market to pick up goods. The first time he was hit by a girl. Look with a watchful eye. Because of another religion, the voice is also different. But he didn't try to fit in by pretending to be like them. He listened to memorize each spice. Ask honest questions. What is this spice used for? How locals make sautéed roux. A few months later, you're not just a regular visitor. It's also a middleman to help these Arabs sell to Europe. From outsider he became a connector. The Jews taught me. Don't cooperate because it's comfortable. Work together because you see fit. They don't choose partners because they can play, but because they can do it. Not because of the same, but because of the same. You can be different. But if you keep your integrity, make the right commitment, share a common goal, they'll shake your hand. Lessons for young people to start. Let's let go of prejudice to keep the opportunity. Maybe you're missing out on a good partner just because he's a little self-contained. He's not used to starting up. You didn't go to top school. Ask yourself if this person has qualities that you don't have. Do they have a network? Additional skills perspective for me. Business is not a competition. Identity. It's a game of collaboration. Jews can shake hands with their opponents. If it's the right time. They don't hold grudges against me. Don't let the past get in the way of the future. Because they believe in a handshake at the right time is worth more than 15 senseless races. Success doesn't come from playing alone. It's about choosing the right people to go away with. A little hint to expand cooperation. Every time you meet someone new, don't ask this guy if he's like me. Ask someone who can help me see it. Something I've never seen before. And if the answer is yes, don't be afraid to listen and start small. Because you know what? There are many strong Jewish business relationships. It started with a small conversation. It's a simple meal. Or even a few dollar transaction. They don't despise small money. I don't despise new people. Because for them every penny is a building block. Every relationship, however small, it can also be a big door. And that's the next mindset. The 9 mindset. Small money is the foundation of saving is not just calculation. There's a very strong belief in Jewish culture that you'll hear over and over again for the rest of your life. If you're lucky enough to have tea with an old man, the Jews, there's no big money, there's a lot of small money added up. It sounds simple, but really, it's the philosophy that helped them survive the war. Building an empire, business wherever they go. From small markets in the Middle East to the big banks in New York. The story of falling coins and how to stoop to pick up the value. One day a young student Passing by an old man, Jew's crouching in the middle of the road. If you ask him what he picked up, he replied a zoo. He laughed and shook his head. How much is a penny worth? The old man just smiled. That's why you're poor and you're not. Jews don't charge in units. They measure by time and opportunity. $1 today if saved and invested correctly. Maybe 10 in the future. A small amount is missed every day. After a year, it could be 10,000. For them, saving is not living a miserable life. It's about living consciously. Do not waste. Do not unconsciously. Do not spend for fast. Saving is a kind of inner discipline. It's not lack. Jews can be rich, but they choose to eat well. Check each bill. And never underestimate expenses under $1. You can see a boss, Jews sitting in the middle of the room. Ask the accountant. And sell this month reprinting paper increased 5%. Not because they're stingy, but because they understand. People who can't control small money, they are not qualified to hold large sums of money. The real lesson. Do how to apply saving thinking effectively. A daily spending tracking. You can also use the app or notebook. It's important to know where the money is going. To limitations on unconscious spending every time you're about to buy something. Ask. Does this move me closer to my goal? Invest from small savings. You don't have to wait until you have 100. Just start at investing. Many Jews start at $5 to buy books. And since then, their minds have changed. They teach their children that no money is not worth appreciating. Small money is not play money. Small money is brick. And the wise builder. Never use broken tiles for the nails. You're spending money building foundations or setting off firecrackers. Every cup of milk tea doesn't count as a broken brick. Every time you swipe the card without thinking, it's a crack in personal finance. For money is not lost. It just moves out of people's pockets, in the pocket of someone who knows how to manage. And when you know how to value every penny, you'll start to see life through different eyes. They are more alert and more alert when they are in trouble. Because the Jews believe that if you just think in the usual way, you will get normal results. But if you dare to ask the opposite question, dare to think differently, you can make real breakthroughs. And that's the next thought. 14. Thinking backwards to resolve conflict. Non-confrontational cognitive transfer. When in conflict, most people choose one of two ways. One is to dodge, and the other is to rush in like a train losing its brakes. And the Jews, they choose to think in reverse. Instead of screaming louder, they talk smaller. Instead of arguing, they change their perspective. Instead of winning, they chose to cool down their ego to solve the problem. The story of the old man and the 3 children kicking the trash. This story can make you laugh, but it'll make you nod because you're used to it. An old man who lives in a quiet neighborhood. Every afternoon, 3 neighborhood kids pulled up to his front door and kick it in the same trash can. At first he was angry, but instead of scolding rough for talking, "You guys have fun, I love it. Every time you come to kick my trash, I'll give you 10 each." The children were surprised to see the good old man. So, it's getting worse every day. A few days later he came out. "This week I only paid $5. The kids are a little excited, but they keep kicking. A week later, there's only 2 left. They were immediately angry for 2. Then we're off. And from there the neighborhood returns to its tranquility. A lesson when you can't change your behavior. Let's change our perception. Reverse thinking in this story. It's not the trick. It's the lie that doesn't react. But redesigning the dynamics, from playing to making money. And when money is no longer attractive, the behavior disappears. No through and winding, no stress. Just change how others feel about the problem. In business, sometimes you win not by argument but psychologically. A difficult customer doesn't always need a solution. They need to be heard. They need to feel important. A sluggish employee not because of incompetence. Maybe they don't see the meaning in their work. A difficult partner is not sure because they are difficult. Maybe they just don't believe you really understand what they want. Jews don't try to win the debate. They try to win people over because they understand. Changing your mind doesn't start with the right words. It starts with the right feeling. And it's only when you understand it deeply enough. The real lesson. How to apply reverse thinking to resolve conflict. Stop asking the wrong person. Start asking what makes them react that way. 1-2. Move your shoulders and put yourself in the other person's
5 minutes
position before responding. B. Change the context instead of meeting invite for coffee. Sometimes conflict melts in a glass of lemon ice. Reverse thinking is not about doing the opposite. It's thinking differently. To not get caught up in the fight instinct. The Jews always ask, if I did the opposite, how would it be? They use that question too. Distant personnel policy design. Dialogue with customers, and even to educate their children by telling stories instead of yelling at me. A soft but deep approach. No noise but long-lasting effect. And when you start to get contradictions by reverse thinking, you will realize one thing. You don't always have to win rationally. Sometimes it just takes the right time. The right approach is that the whole door opens. As well as in business, you don't have to do much to succeed. It's about doing the right thing. And stay focused on what's most important. So let's move on to the next thought. It's also one of the secrets. The Jewish man's needle. #11 Don't lose your goal because of marginal temptations. In a crossbow forest and in the business world today, there's a story that Jews tell. Short but long-lasting. 3 hunting dogs chasing a squirrel. The squirrel got into an empty tree trunk. There's only one way out. The dog patiently waited. Eyes do not leave the target. Then suddenly out of that hole, a rabbit soared out running over their heads. All 3 dogs immediately abandon squirrels chasing rabbits. They bark and they chase, instinctively. The result is not to catch the rabbit and also to lose the squirrel. The Jews finished the story. Just ask a gentle question. And friend, do you still remember what your squirrel is? In business and in life, what is a squirrel? It's the core goal that you set in the beginning. That's why you started. It could be financial freedom. Maybe it's building a nice brand. Maybe it's working less, but living better. But along the way the rabbit will constantly appear. Quick profitable investment opportunity. A person asked to make the system earn hundreds of millions a month. A new TikTok trend that makes you think, I should try this video. And if you're not steady, you'll find yourself turning sideways and lost my way. It's always not good. The Jews don't chase after everything that moves. They're following the only thing that matters. They know you don't need to do more. You need to do the right thing long enough without interruptions. Concentration is a form of superpower, especially in an age where it takes just 3 minutes to surf the internet. You wanted to change your life plan. The real lesson. How to stay in the information storm. Always write down the most important goal of the month. Put it where you can see it most easily. Every time a new opportunity rises, ask yourself if that brings you closer to your goal. If not, don't follow. B. Set up rules. No strategy changes in 90 days. To avoid having you do the course today. Tomorrow, I will run an affiliate. Learn yoga to build a personal brand. Don't let the attractive stuff switch positions with what's really important. There is a sad truth that people fail because they do wrong. 7 people fail because they miss the right thing in the middle. It's like digging a well. Near the water, there is a precious stone. Immediately left to. And digging stones yet raw heard that jackfruit growing is hot. So you end up without water. There are no rocks and no jackfruit. The Jews call it distributed thinking. The killer of achievement. Everything knows a little bit. Everything does a part. But nothing is deep enough. Long enough to get results. While just being consistent with one thing. 1 step a day, a small improvement every week after a year. You've gone further than 90% of the people in the middle of the road. Because when you know how to keep yourself away from rabbits, you don't just save time, but also keep faith with yourself. And then you'll see something else interesting. No one needs to force you to change. As long as they ignite the right motivation within you, then you will move forward on your own. That's the next Jewish thing. It's the secret to how they lead, manage, and inspire others. The 12 Thoughts of Governance by Understanding, Not Power. In many traditional management models, people often believe that if you want employees to do well, order with discipline. And the Jews, put your hand on your shoulder and say, you want people to act. Don't make them listen, make them want to do it. The story of the husband who forgot the key. It's a small thing, but it's all in a way. Late one night, a Jewish man came home from work late. When I got to the door, I forgot the key. You ring the bell. He called out, banging on the door, banging on the window, still silent. I finally stopped for a few seconds. Change your voice and fake your baby's voice. Mom, I'm so boring. Immediately the wife in the house jumped up like a reflex. Suddenly he opened the door. No anger, no confrontation. Just understand the psychology. Touch the right emotions and solve the problem. Management is not about asking others to do it. It's about making them want to do it. Jews don't believe in models. Order your subordinates to listen. They believe in the model. I know what you need. And I connected that to the common goal. They don't motivate people with dry KPIs, but by the meaning of what they're doing. In business, what makes an average employee proactive? It's not just a short-term wage increase. It's not that deadlines can create pressure. It's when they see the work. They are valuable to themselves. The Jews taught that people don't do it for orders. They do it for faith that you're contributing to something meaningful. 3 things the Jews do very well when managing others. Asad listening. It's not just listening, it's understanding the motivations behind it. To personalization of motivation. Each one is driven by its own switch. Ba communicate with images, they tell stories. Use metaphors instead of blank commands. A good Jewish leader doesn't have to shout. They just need to be in the right place. It's like playing. It's not just hitting the keys hard, it's sounding good. You have to hit the right note at the right time. In the right way, the new music comes out. The real lesson. So to apply understanding thinking in management. Ask instead of judge. What makes it difficult for you? What do you need to work better? To create a safe space for employees to dare to tell the truth. A coffee session instead of a stressful table can help open up a lot of BA. Look at people from a growth perspective. It's not perfect. Instead of making mistakes, let's start by noting what they did well. Jews don't feed their people, they feed their motivation. And motivation doesn't live by slogans, it lives by empathy, genuine interest, and clarity of purpose. The more people understand, the less they have to give orders. The more true the belief, the less pressure. And then you've learned how to manage. Treat people with understanding. You'll realize something else important. Not everything new is worth it. It's not that anything that goes away is useless. For in the eyes of the Jews, what was thrown away by others, maybe it's unrecognized gold. And the mind reconstructs value from what seems useless. It's also a great business skill that they've used for centuries. Let's move on to the next thought. 13 thoughts turn trash into gold. No value is ever lost. In the Jewish mind, there's a very stubborn belief like this. Value does not lose itself. It's just in the wrong place or not seen with the right eye. Others see the trash. The Jews saw the reconstruction material. Others saw 7 failures. They see the lesson data and the opportunity to reshape it. The real story. Reborn from the rubble of the Statue of Liberty. 1900, the Statue of Liberty in the United States is restored. The government removed the old parts. Metal, rust, concrete, broken wood items. It's all piled up like a landfill waiting to be disposed of. No one wants to buy. Except for a Jewish businessman. He signed a contract to buy all the waste materials. People think you're crazy. But then he fired. Copper flows into miniature goddesses. Wooden items are framed as historical original photos. Concrete flakes are bag-packed and labeled. Fragments from the freedom symbol. Even dust sweeper is sold for whole stores. It's called the breath of history. 3 months later, he collected more than $5 million from the trash that others don't bother to glance at. Because the Jews didn't ask if it could still be used. They asked me what I could turn it into. And that's what a creator is. Not waiting for the opportunity to come, see the value hidden in what seems to be gone. This idea applies to business life and personal career. An old idea that seemed like 7 failures, it can become viral. Tell it in a different way. A product in stock, it can be repositioned for new customer segments. A CV that was rejected, it could be a stepping stone. Let you write a guidebook for others, pass the interview. Nothing is completely useless. It's just that you're creative enough to bring it back to life. The Jews taught me not to throw it away. Let's redefine. Instead of being discouraged by the 7 failures, what can I learn from this data? From the article No, I read here, can I make a short video for you? From the unfinished project, can this be combined as a case study? Everything can be restructured if you're not limited by the throwaway mindset. The real lesson. Look at your old things with new eyes. A reopening of the old ideas folder on the computer. Something you once wrote and finished that you can now reuse. Let's take a look at my 7 biggest failures last year. If you had to teach people to avoid that mistake, what would you say? Buy inventory of forgotten resources. Old content. List of old customers' bad skills learned. Sometimes what you need is not something new. It's a new perspective on the old. Ordinary people see dust. The Jews see the dust of history. And in a world where everything moves so fast, people who can recreate, not throwing away, is the one who goes the farthest. And you know what? When you start learning how to make small things into something of value, turn waste into resources, you will also learn a more valuable skill. See what others don't see. But in business, that skill doesn't just make you money. It also helps you negotiate smarter, better understand what others really need. And that's the last thought. Extremely astute, of the Jews we're about to enter. Thinking 14. Negotiate with understanding, divide right. Don't divide equally. In the eyes of the Jews, negotiation is not about winning more. It's not win. The kind of illusion that AI has to be equal. They don't share equally, they split it right. According to the true needs of everyone in the community. Classic orange story. When divided evenly, it's wasted. 2 kids fighting for an orange. Adults passing by. If you see that, be a judge. Let's split. Each one is half fair. I thought it was over, but when I got home, one of them threw away the citrus because he just needed the skin to make a cake. The other one threw away the orange peel because he just needed water to drink. In the end, neither of them got what they wanted. And half the oranges are wasted. Because no one's asking me what I really need from this orange. The Jews taught that justice is not divided equally. It's in the right division. In a negotiation, not everyone needs more money. Someone needs the spotlight. Someone needs the market. Some people just need a long-term commitment. And if you look at what Kier really wants, you can give them exactly that, but still keep what I need. Are you both really happy? And in particular, no one feels compelled. Negotiation in the Jewish mind. It's the art of asking the right questions, instead of how much you want. They asked, what's most important to you in this deal? Instead of arguing over every line of contract, they set the framework. If I help you get what you need, are you willing to let me get what I need? Sounds simple, but it's a very deep and very effective soft strategy. Real lessons doing so to negotiate smarter. Clearly identify what you need most. Before entering the negotiating table, don't pick one or two things. To spend 80% of your time listening, 20% of your time talking. The more you understand the other person, the easier it is to divide. Don't assume that AI thinks the same as you. Some people are willing to reduce their money if you help them communicate better. Some people lose their profits as long as you keep a long-term commitment. The Jews, not trying to win a negotiation. They're looking for a long-term connection. They understand that a deal good is not where I get the most. It's where the enemy is. They also feel they are being treated right. So they negotiate with strategic thinking, combined with human understanding. It's not just based on numbers. This mindset helps them become people who are always at the center of global business flow. Even if it's only 0.2% of the world's population, Jews have been at the biggest negotiating tables ever since Wall Street to Silicon Valley. Because they don't just calculate, they also know how to be someone else. I want to shake my hand again. Dear friend, we've just gone through 14 brilliant business minds, practical and wise from the Jews. A nation that is not numerous, but always make the world respect. From the way they respect every penny, thinking in the opposite direction. It's about negotiating with understanding. It's not all about getting rich. It's a lifestyle, a platform to build a solid mindset in all circumstances. The best thing is, you don't have to be born Jewish to apply these things. You just need to start thinking more carefully before you act. Understand what you are doing and for what. Every decision you make, no matter how small, it can also change the future. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to comment on a lesson you enjoyed the most. Press the channel subscription button. Crack the mind and share this video. Friends who are also on the journey, growing from thought. See you on your next journey.